Appraisal of REO and Foreclosure Properties, Chapter 4, Scope of Work, page 16, Scope of Work.
Scope of work. Previously, we mentioned that REO appraisal assignments require a different skill set than traditional mortgage origination appraisal assignments. This is because the assignment elements of an REO appraisal are often different than those used in a mortgage origination appraisal. What are assignment elements, you ask? A quick look at the scope of work rule is in order. End of page.
Page 17.
Scope of work rule. The scope of work rule states that for each appraisal and appraisal review assignment, an appraiser must 1. Identify the problem to be solved. 2. Determine and perform the scope of work necessary to develop credible assignment results. And 3. Disclose the scope of work in the report. 5. The scope of work must be sufficient to produce credible assignment results. Let's examine the first step, problem identification, in more detail. 5. The Appraisal Foundation, Uniform Standards of Professional Appraisal Practice, Washington, D.C., Appraisal Standards Board, 2024 edition, Scope of Work Rule. End of page. Problem identification. Problem identification provides the appraiser with the basis for determining the type and extent of research and analysis necessary for the development of an appraisal. Problem identification is required in every appraisal assignment. It is only by correctly identifying the problem that an appraiser may employ an appropriate scope of work for the assignment. There are 6 assignment elements that must be identified in this process. According to the scope of work rule, the appraiser must identify the client and any other intended users, intended use of the appraiser's opinions and conclusions, type and definition of value, effective date of the appraiser's opinions and conclusions, subject of the assignment and its relevant characteristics, and assignment conditions. 6. The appraiser is solely responsible for identifying these assignment elements and creating a scope of work that produces credible results for the assignment. The client may have some input into the scope of work, but in the end, the appraiser is responsible for determining the scope of work. 6. Exhibit. End of page. Scope of work flexibility. As a concept, scope of work is flexible and allows latitude in each assignment. This flexibility can be important in REO assignments, since the assignment elements may be different in an REO appraisal assignment. For example, in an REO appraisal assignment, a different type and definition of value, for example liquidation value, disposition value, may be used instead of market value. A retrospective effective date may be used, particularly in forensic REO appraisal assignments. Assignment conditions may preclude a full interior inspection, pre-foreclosure. Assignment conditions may require more than one value opinion, for example as is and as repaired. We will look at each of the 6 assignment elements individually and examine how they might differ between a REO appraisal assignment and a mortgage origination appraisal assignment. End of page.